I want to do something with that.
Give your last line, and then Liam.
I want to come into him a little tighter. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's great.
I think it's a little more daddy-like.
Give him more dad-like. Let's go there. Daddy has different implications nowadays.
Not my house.
Hello, my Crescent Skull Cinema viewers. Hi, Scullies. We gotta come up with a name for the audience. Anyhow, my name's John, and I'm very tired. I'm here to talk about the film that just released yesterday, or I guess whenever you're viewing this. At the time that I recorded this, it came out 2 days ago. I had a movie come out called Make-A-Wish, and originally it was not called Make-A-Wish. It was called Camp Parasite, and it wasn't a short film, it was a feature film. So I was going to finally make a feature film because it felt like something that I needed to do. It's a challenge that I have yet to accomplish. And I said, you know what? If I say I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. Your boy is just going over the game plan for the shoot because we start on Friday night. I go through Sunday, and I got a whole ass storyboard here with every single lens I need to use, etc. So, I wrote a movie for an actress years ago called The Diary of Valerie Thompson. She told me everything that she wanted for this movie, like what the character was that she was gonna play, the scenario, whatever. I wrote the whole thing for her, I sent it to her, she ghosted me, it's fine, because she maybe I should cut this, but I don't know, maybe this will just be the spicy version of events that I shared today online. Anyway, I wrote the movie. I've been part of a film group in McMinnville called McMinnville Community Media. It's their Saturday film club, and they picked the Valerie Thompson movie to make this year. There were some people that auditioned that ended up not getting cast that I wanted to have an opportunity because they were good, and I had this script on deck. Not the feature film, just the opening scene. I offered the role to Liam, who had auditioned. Jeff had also auditioned. He would have been in this regardless anyway. If I made this, of course, there's going to be a part for Jeff in it. Are we settling, Thor? Jane, stop bullying your brother. Jane, lay down. Come here. Jane, go here. And sit. That's a good little dog croissant. Originally, I had envisioned Megan Daboul, who I've worked with a few times, in the lead. However, she was unavailable. Jeff had recommended Brooke Hogan, whom she had recently just been in one of those SAG films that had rolled into town, which happens infrequently, opposite Chandler Riggs from Walking Dead. So I took Jeff's word for it. I offered her the part. She took it, and thank God. Because the amount of, emotion and sincerity in her voice, especially when she's afraid, is just so compelling on camera. So that's how this started. In Camp Parasite, I already wrote the whole outline. This is just the opening scene, letting you know how the spoiler is aliens, alien parasites. That's what happens. This opening scene was meant to establish how the parasites take over the host. When something like this crashes on the planet, oh fuck, my battery's gonna die. Give me a second. A rare moment of them being sweet little angels. This is very indicative of what the tech experience of this was like. Anyhow. Is this actually making a freaking difference? Who knows? I'll find out in post. I made this UFO. So, Camp Parasite. I'm really making this movie with no money, no nothing. So even making the ship, I'm just taking these salvaged styrofoam packaging things, and I just have a suitcase full of paper and paperboard, and I got a stapler and some fasteners, and I think with some paint we're going to make something that at least looks good with the shallow depth of field. I'm also currently dismantling this cassette player that I found on the side of the road a year ago, and it's just been sitting in the back of my car door. Do you have something to say about that? beef is squashed. I also briefly worked, wow, that is not a flattering angle. I also briefly worked at a factory, and they had some excess tubing that was scraps meant to be thrown out. So I am taking the wire out and working it into my slipshod UFO. Basically what happens is that the alien vessel impacts on Earth when an organic entity, preferably a human, comes within proximity of the vessel. The parasite, which is a hydrophobic entity, meaning that it cannot tolerate water. It has a coating on it that protects it temporarily from vessel to host from any moisture. What happens is the parasite injects itself into the host, much like the anime Parasite the Maxim, enters the host, and then what it does is it sears off that protective outer layer and it boils the inside of the host until, because humans, if you don't know, are mostly water, much like jellyfish. Once it's boiled out all of the fluids from the host and it's killed the host, it replaces that with like this black tar, which is like its blood. It takes over the host, and now it has a shield from the rain, something that can tolerate the rain. But if there is any injury to the host body and it gets, splashed with water, that is a weakness of the parasite. So that's how this is supposed to work. That's not what I made, because I ran out of time and everything went wrong. I failed in this movie. I failed a lot, and I failed hard, and the reason that I still can smile while I'm saying that is because the only failure that would really disappoint me is if I spent all this money and put in all this time and organization effort and roped in other people to make this, and then it just didn't get finished or it got canceled. That would be a failure I couldn't deal with. All of these failures and setbacks here, I'm grateful for them. I'm grateful for failing a lot because it's just more information on how to avoid this in the future. So for a brief laundry list of the things that went wrong while I was trying to make this movie. I was borrowing my friend Kendra's slider to mount my camera for the first opening shot because, having something that pushes in already establishes like a good budget for a movie. And the issue is that I didn't try the slider until I was there, and I realized that A, I couldn't mount it to my tripod the way that I thought I was going to be able to, and B, I couldn't tilt up or down with the camera mount on top of the slider, so I couldn't use it because I would just see the front of the slider in it, like in the way that when people use a dolly to push in on a set, you don't see the dolly. I can see the slider, so that's my fault. There was going to be a dry ice effect where if you've ever worked at an ice cream place and you pack up ice cream for people to take somewhere, you usually have dry ice, and if you put it in like a cup of water or something, it kind of makes a fog, which you could see in the Charlie Brown skit when I made the miniature graveyard. I bought a bunch of dry ice for this shoot, and I brought it to Galen's property in advance while I was setting up, and I put it in the freezer. We weren't gonna use it to day 2. And when I got there and I took it out of the freezer setting must be set just a couple degrees lower than was needed to sustain the dry ice because it was an empty bag by the time I got it. So I couldn't use that. I also got an insect fogger, which if you put fog fluid in an insect fogger, I've seen on like the film theorists or whatever there's one guy. Apparently the brand of fogger matters because if you use fog fluid in an insect fogger, it's supposed to help make fog, and which is great for adding texture and like budget to a project. And my insect fogger, which was like Kyobi brand or something, I'll put the name up here now, doesn't work, so don't buy it. The only one that they showed that did work was one that was on Amazon, and I don't support Amazon. I think their business practices are unconscionable, and it really upsets me that people are so culturally enamored with using Amazon and buying so many things off of there. It's just putting small businesses out of practice. Deplorable work conditions for people that work in the factories. Anyway, that's why I got the brand that I could get at a Lowe's, and it didn't work. Right now I'm making the parasite itself, and that involves a mold, some Vaseline, make sure it doesn't stick to the mold. You need gelatin. I put it over on the kitchen counter, but something called glycerin, which is like an alcohol-based liquid thing that you use for cooking, and some water. And then I had to use a little bit of black paint to make it darker. But we're mixing the mold, we're gonna heat it up, and then we are going to put it in this cast and hopefully get our mold. And the main parasite that we're gonna be seeing is attached to Jeff. So I'm gonna have to make some modifications to the inside to make sure that it can like clip to his shirt collar and look like it's going in his neck. And Thor, for a while, had his head on the couch because I think he smelled the Jell-O and he wanted some. My parasite props, originally, I went to Walmart and I got they're kind of like a KOOSH material. They were these little rubber toys with like this kind of like material on the outside. And I spray painted them gray, and when I would stretch them and they would like bow kind of like a sinusoidal wave or something. So I kept practicing this and doing this and letting them shrink in, and I was like, oh, this actually looks like if I only showed a split second of this, I could like tie some fishing wire to it and I could make it look like it was going into Jeff's neck for when the Jean character gets infected by the parasite. No, it didn't work that way. I had the camera, I had Roman operating the other end, but it was not working for some reason. It worked at home, it would not work there. I wasted so much time working on that specific bit that I'm like, oh crap, this is just like not setting the tone for a good time for the remainder of the shoot here, because not only did I waste time, now there's a vital part of this that's not gonna work, and I have to figure out the workaround. And the workaround, even though we're talking about things that went wrong, here's my solution. Halloween time is my favorite because you get access to so many things you wouldn't normally have. I got a rubber mask at Walmart again. It's a pig mask that I painted pink. You could see it before, and now you can see it now. And if you punch in really close, the snout kind of looks like an Adam's apple. So if you cut to that parasite gag, Jeff's neck is this thing, and the parasite was, I'm not gonna get it, it's on my desk, but it's basically like a rubber gecko that I cut the legs off and I spray painted it. I made some like blood and stuff to drip around, whatever. That's how I handled that. Other stuff that went wrong, my lighting on day one was crap. Things were too dark, the settings I have on my camera, it was too dark. I needed more light, but in the preview setting on my camera, it looked like it was brighter than it actually was. And when I got home that night and looked at it, I'm like, oh crap, it just looks bad. Normally I have a shot list and I have a schedule. This time I drew such a thoughtful, comprehensive storyboard for it, which involved like just minor adjustments of where the camera was, which we can discuss from the opening scene later, how all that makes sense. What I did was I only filmed like a couple lines from certain angles instead of just getting full coverage of a scene from one angle, switching to another one. And this ended up costing me a lot more time, and it, for acting, it's probably pretty frustrating to have to start and stop on just a little segment instead of having the momentum of the entire conversation. I wasted my whole first day on bad lighting and a new technique that was not working for me, so I went right back to writing up my shot list for the last day at least. Now, in the summer, there are always fire bans in the Pacific Northwest because forest fires are frequent here. There's not much rain. If you ever see any shots close up of this fire pit during the project, it just looks like a lump of wood with light under it. I should have taken the time at home to like make a wood teepee structure or like a log cabin or something so that it actually looked like not as messy as it was. I bought insect repellent because mosquitoes are going to be an issue, and the insect repellent that I bought, I'm pretty sure was an insect attractant because it had the opposite effect for everybody there. And my legs were exposed and I looked like I had leprosy. I'll put a picture in here if I still have it. But here's the thing. On the last day, I was the only crew left because I only had Roman for the first 2 days. And at that point, I had just had it with so many things going wrong. I didn't let it show on set, obviously. Like, I would apologize. I was like, yeah, I don't know why. This is the hardest thing that I've shot. I'm so sorry. The last day, I'm like, yeah, screw it, whatever. I'm just gonna wing it. So I had a list, I had a schedule, and my lighting was great by day 3. This is the first thing I'd shot in like a year at this point, so my lighting was a bit rusty. Lighting was on point. We were ahead of schedule the entire time. I even got to do the shots that I said, if we have time, do this. And you never have time for those, but I did have time for those. I had to edit the ending a bit because we were not gonna have time for, there's actually a scene where Wes is trying to drink water, but it's not going down his throat. And he splashes a little bit on his chest, but it steams up. I didn't have time for that effect either. Cassidy spills some on his chest and it causes him great pain. We didn't have time for that either. There's also a combat scene where Cassidy was supposed to get into a fight with Jean, and I had a boat oar that I'd stained for that, and we didn't have time for that either. So much was chopped, but we were able to make at least a somewhat comprehensive story by the end of that third day. And we turned out the lights, all the lights, and we just looked up, and it was such a clear, beautiful sky because it's so rural out where we were filming. And you could see the satellites blinking, you could see the moon, you could see the constellations. And that was just, it was a really nice way to end that shoot. As we finish our movie, we end with the night sky, but you can't see shit on my phone. That is a list of all the things that went wrong. So I had to change the story, and it made me realize that there's no way, with my limited means, that I could make a feature film with special effects like this work. It would take me a long time, and I don't have the money to do it. I can't get a grant to do it because the grants available are so few, and there's so many people competing for them, and they're meant to serve not just film, but all sorts of artistic disciplines, especially ones that have to do with addressing social issues. So, not my movie about aliens in space. And I'm not willing to ask my audience for money, or friends or family. I won't do a crowdfunding campaign, so. Because I'm only willing to do movies when I'm able to save up money, which is impossible now because my car debt is killing me. That and your vet bill, Thor, of getting dental. Dental for Thor costs $740-something. $740-something to clean my dog's teeth. So I brush Thor's teeth every day now. No cavities, no gingivitis. Because that feature is not possible, it became a short film. Maybe we'll do like a part 2 at some point in the future with some other people that were going to be in the feature, but it made sense for this family-based story addressing this issue to call it Make-A-Wish, since the shooting star, Make-A-Wish.
Shooting star, Make-A-Wish.
That's everything that went wrong. That's how this became what it was. The way that I went about the music, I was very inspired by specifically the song Heels from the very beginning of It Follows, which is on Netflix this Halloween, so I want to watch that today, I think. Maybe tonight. Thor? Jane, there's a thing called personal space, and Thor wants it, okay? Jane, go. In there. Sit. Well, Thor, don't have your head in her kennel, in her bed. Okay, good. Good job. Good job, guys. Conflict resolution, baby.
Don't you smile.
Can you give me that line a few different ways?
Here it comes. Here it comes. Don't you smile. Yeah, here it comes. Don't you smile. Now don't you smile.
Stop shivering. Is that a video game or is that a board game?
Similar to D&D.
I feel like such a wino.
Sorry, Mom.
Oh, sorry. Good chow.
Okay, I got it in a frame there. God, that fucking hurt. Oh, fucking hell, I jolted myself.
Gene!
Might be military. You better call the sheriff.
Sorry.
It's alright, take your moment and then...
What, I say funny?
No, I really walloped you. Sorry, okay. Okay.
Hello. Hello, Sebastian. Hello, Prize. And that is how Make-A-Wish came to be. I failed hard, I failed often, but we saw it through. That's the end. Can someone please riddle me what the fuck it is that's out there? Just a second ago, it's like something bipedal was passing through here. Okay. Yeah, that's his lighter fluid, it's the burn pile. I'm just making sure all my film equipment is out here. You heard that right? Okay. In here. Nothing on the ground. God damn it, why am I walking every time it makes a sound? Okay, it's there, but nothing's on the ground. Good to go. Bye-bye, see you later. Whatever the fuck is out there.